All right, good morning, nerds. Today's tutorial is going to be on the Unity Asset Store, how to grab packages, how to download them, etc. This is episode number 11 in the Unity Basics or Unity Gameplay Basics tutorial series. I'm sorry. So thank you for joining us. This one's really pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Um, but we're going to need this as the build up for our sound effects tutorial that I'm doing next. I was intending to just do this as part of that tutorial, and then I realized that this is a pretty good topic to just have as its own topic. So I didn't want to separate those out as much. So to get started, there's a few ways to get into the asset store. If you're already inside of Unity, you can do it by going to the I thought you could do it right from assets. I am sorry. Weird. I thought it was right there. Anyways, oh yeah, you can do it straight from the window menu. So I can go to window and then click on asset store, or you can just go to the web. Frankly, I do it through Googling. Like I'm too lazy to remember the URL, but it is just assetstore.unity.com. So it's not like it's that complicated. Once you're inside of here, there is a lot. For example, there's over 11,000 five-star assets, etc. There's all these cool stats. Unity definitely does like pushing the asset store, and I've used quite a few other things in the past. Um, just like a lot of other websites, there's some really quality free stuff. There's a lot of stuff you've got to pay for. There's good stuff. There's bad stuff. And by bad, I mean low quality, not necessarily like naughty or inappropriate or anything. But definitely I would suggest, a little bit of buyer beware on things. I tend to not buy things off the asset store unless I've got a way of validating them first. But your mileage may vary here. And since I was prepping for the sound effects tutorial, which will hopefully be tutorial number 12, um, which for the next tutorial, but I wanted to download some sound effects, and I was picturing more like, oh, I'm going to do like a shooter tutorial kind of a thing. So I want some gunshot sounds. And so what I did was I just kind of went out in and I wanted to try out their navigation. But you can see here, they've got a bunch of different categories. They've got all kinds of stuff. And the asset store has got everything from 3D models to this environment mega pack that looks like a whole bunch of different animated environment pieces like trees and bushes and things like that. Here's some characters. There's all kinds of stuff. But I just clicked here on this audio one and I was like, okay, well, I want sound effects. So that's clearly audio. And that took me into some subcategories. And I was like, well, I'd really like some sound effects. And here was some sounds. And then I kind of went, well, okay, look at this. There's some really cool sound effects, but and this modern weapons all in one. That's like, oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. But it was $350, and I'm not buying $350 just so I can do a quick tutorial. So then I went over here and I looked on the right, and I'm like, oh, there's all kinds of cool category options. And if we scroll down a little bit, there is a pricing knob, and I can just check the box for free assets, and let's look at that. Okay. Um, and we can do whatever we want. I did this Fog of War gun sound effects is the one that I did. And that's right here on this tab. So this is the one we're doing because, again, I like to cite and give credit and things, and I will drop a link straight to this one in the comments. And again, as usual, if I forget to do that, somebody call me out because we should cite our sources. But since I've already set this up, like you can see this open in Unity button, I've already downloaded it. So I kind of want to walk through that process on something else. So I'm going to grab, I don't know, post-apocalypse guns here. And again, I'm just going to click on that one and see what it's like. It's free. It's got a little video about it, and it shows you some stuff. Here's some of the different files that it has. And sometimes you can even get some previews. Let me see if this one has any. So I'm going to go like miniguns. I was hoping it would let me visualize that or audio that, but apparently not. So sometimes we can preview, sometimes we can't. but that's okay. And what you want to do is, let's say I want to put this in my project, whether I want to try it out or what, is just add to my assets. And this is not going to, by default, throw it in a specific project or even download it to your computer. So a lot of times what I'll do, like I worked on a card game a while back and I just like found any sound pack that looked like it was good card game sounds and I just clicked add it to my assets, right? I'm just hitting everything. Later on, you can kind of review. So I'm going to go ahead and click add to my assets. And it's going to give me my terms of service. And basically, I agree not to use this for anything naughty. The owner owns the rights to it, but I'm allowed to use it, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to click accept here. And it's added to my assets. And you can say, go to my assets so you can see what you've installed or what you've quote unquote purchased. Purchased is probably the wrong word considering that a lot of these were free, but it would include purchased assets as well. Or you can open them directly in Unity, and I wouldn't really recommend doing that path, so I'm not going to teach it that way. But you can say, so I did go ahead and say, I thought I already clicked add to my assets. Okay, and then it'll change that button to open in Unity, which is what you see here in the Fog of War set that I also downloaded, or also added. So once you've gone through and you've kind of added what you want to add, and again, if you go for a paid asset, it'll do things like, do you want to use your credit card on file and all that normal purchasing stuff. But there's some really high quality stuff in the free section. You just need to pay attention to what citations do you need to do and stuff like that if you're using it. Okay, so now that I've got that there, I'm going to go back into Unity. Now, here's my recommendation. If you have not already screened an asset, as in, like, I've looked at this asset, I know it's going to work for me, I know it's perfect, it's going to do exactly what I want it to do, especially when that asset involves code, I would strongly recommend either, or never import it into your main project. I would either, if you're testing out assets, like, for example, sounds or models or sprites or things like that, I usually just keep a testing project running all the time that I can just drop things into and look at them real fast. Is this something I want to use? Alternatively, what I can do is, or after I've tested them out, that I'm like, okay, these are safe to use in my main project. Alternatively, what you can do is clone your existing project, test out that asset. If it works, you keep on working. If not, you just delete the entire thing and revert back to your clone and use that as like a backup. And I've done that, again, quite a few times before, especially if you're downloading code things, because you don't really, if you just start a brand new project, you don't know if that's going to work until you expose it to your existing project. And so you just kind of have to be, but you always want to be safe. Work non-destructively. Have some safeties built in case things don't go right, etc. So in this case, we're gonna say I already screened it, and there we go. Okay, so the way we add our packages, these are now the things that we installed off the asset store, the things that we've kind of, I guess, marked or purchased or whatever off the asset store, are now in our package available packages. So if we go to Window and we go to the Package Manager box. Which we've used this before in previous tutorials. I'm going to kind of go back to the defaults. It's going to default here to this, what are the packages currently in your project? We can pop that out to Unity Registry, which we have done in the past in some of my other tutorials to add extra functionality that we didn't already have. But one of the other things that we can do that I don't think I've ever done in my tutorials before is My Assets. And that's the stuff basically that I've purchased off the asset store. So I'm going to click on that. And you'll see a lot of stuff here because I've downloaded a lot of junk over the years. But the one that I just downloaded is this Fog of War gun sound effects free. That's the one I was showing you guys at the beginning. And if I scroll down a little bit further, I should have the post-apocalyptic one, although I'm not seeing it in here. Maybe I need to refresh. I'm going to click the refresh button down there. It did add a few. Still not seeing. Still not seeing it. It may have installed it under like a different name, but I'm not sure why that apocalypse guns is not showing up in here. That's kind of odd. But anyways, it might just be because I haven't refreshed. I might need to go back up and oh, it's showing 18 out of 34. I wonder why it's only. Oh, let's do this. Oh, there it is. Okay. Post-apocalypse guns demo. I don't know why I had to click load, but there it is. This is kind of a good experience of Unity is not always as responsive as we'd like and stuff like that. But there we go. So post-apocalypse guns demo is also showing up. But again, I'm going to use that fog of war. So the first time you go to use an asset that you've done, and this is more of a whole computer setting. So I'm on my Mac on my desktop here. I have not used Fog of War gun sound effects free on this computer before, so I would need to click download, and that's going to put it in my directory. But once I've downloaded it, it's actually available for use in any project I want to use it on, as long as I'm still on this computer. If I go to a different computer, like my laptop, I would have to download it again on that computer to use it on a new project that I hadn't already used it on. But if I'm doing something like sharing the project between computers or something, as soon as I've imported it into my project, it's there. This just allows me to import it into projects. And that all becomes a lot, it starts making more sense the more you use it. But I'm gonna go ahead and click download to get it onto my computer here. You can see now it's downloaded. I've got the little folder icon. So all of these assets that just have the arrows are things that I've purchased that I don't have on my computer, except for this one little guy here that shows a little folder. So I can have as many assets as I want. They just kind of live on Unity servers until I finally like download them and use them. And that also keeps you from filling up your hard drives and things like that. The one caveat that I'm going to say to that is sometimes if you download one, it may change or get deleted or something over time, and so you might not be able to go back in and download it again. So I would encourage you to download assets, you know, especially purchased assets. I'd encourage you to download those like immediately after purchase so that they don't get lost. But here we go. So I've got it downloaded. It's still not in my project though. So I can download this, and I have, but it's not in my project until I import it. And when I click on import, this is saying, hey, do you want to add this into your project now? And the cool thing is I can selectively import. So I have all of these files in here, but let's say I already had music in my project from my previous tutorial, so I don't want this up-tempo song. I just want all the gun sound effects, and really I don't even want the miscellaneous bangs. I might want that later, so I guess I'll go ahead and leave those. But I don't want that sample music, so I'm going to uncheck that to not import it. But I'm going to go ahead and let all this other stuff go. I can always delete things later, so if I find out that I'm not using, I don't know, SFX Gun Action 3, I could always delete that later to save file space, and you really should delete that stuff later to save file space when you find out that you're not using it. But for now, this is pretty safe, so I'm going to go ahead and import. You're going to notice that it adds its own files, and sometimes you have to maintain their directory structure and sometimes you don't. But right now, I've got this audio folder, excuse me, sorry, and it's got my guns and my miscellaneous bangs, and you'll notice that I don't have that sound effects. Now, or I'm sorry, excuse me, I don't have that music. Now, a great question would be, what if I change my mind later? Oh no, I really do want that music after all. No. Well, what I can do is go back up to Package Manager. I can click on this import, or make sure it's selected. Click on this import button again, and all I've got to do is make sure those two things are selected, say import. I'm not going to need to re-import this other stuff because it's already there. Import this stuff too, and look, it's there. And like we learned last time, I can click on play. There it is. I still have it. Wait, you know what? I don't want that after all. So I'm just going to click on the folder, and I'm going to delete it by... So I can keep on managing those files, and I could go back into Package Manager and re-import it if I want to. So you don't really need to worry too much about destruction. Again, if things are code-based or things like that, you may end up wrecking some of your dependencies, and that's bad. But for music and sound effects, it's pretty safe to just kind of go in and mess with things. And same deal with sprite sheets and things like that. Is you can just kind of delete them. That's fine. Okay, so that's it. I've successfully imported a project. I can see that I've got my little wave files here. I'm gonna play. Hey, look, that's a cool sound effect. I think the one that I liked was. Oh no, I'm not finding it. But anyways, I don't know. There's a snare gun, and anyways, I can kind of listen to each of these and decide which one do I want to use for my gunshot sound effect. That one wasn't too bad. Oh, I like that one. Okay, so I think I'm going to use that one for my next tutorial. It's going to be kick gun action. And I like how that sounds. That's pretty good. All right, so we'll learn how to actually implement this in the next tutorial, but that's how you download assets. And again, that download process would be the same whether I was downloading sound files or images or code or anything. That same asset package download process is going to be what I'm going to use. I'm going to go to the asset store. I'm going to find something. I may or may not literally purchase it, add it into my assets. Inside my project, I would go into Package Manager, download it, and then import it. And then now I have it. If I've already downloaded it in future other projects, I could just go ahead and import it from there because it's already downloaded. I don't need to do that again. So that's it. That's the end of our tutorial. As usual, if you found that helpful, I would encourage you to like and subscribe. Thank you for joining us. And as we always say in closing, keep on creating. Have a great day, nerds.